The glittering lights of professional sports arenas have always acted as a modern colosseum, drawing in the rich, the famous, and the powerful from every corner of the planet. When the stakes reach their absolute pinnacle, the magnetism of these events becomes completely irresistible, creating an environment where cultural worlds collide in the most unexpected ways. In these massive arenas, surrounded by tens of thousands of roaring fans, the typical boundaries of society seem to blur, and yet a completely different kind of hierarchy emerges under the bright flashbulbs of the media. For decades, the front rows of these major championships have served as the ultimate status symbol, a place where the elite gather to see and be seen, cementing their positions in the public eye while absorbing the raw energy of elite athletic competition. It is a world where every single detail is meticulously analyzed by the public, from who you are sitting next to the exact row your ticket places you in, revealing a fascinating subtext about fame and relevance in contemporary culture. If you find these deep dives into the hidden dynamics of the world's biggest events intriguing, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest investigative stories and breaking news reports. The tension in the air during these high-stakes matchups is always palpable, reaching far beyond the physical confines of the court and extending into the surrounding crowd, where every notable figure becomes a character in a much larger narrative. On this particular evening, as the energy in the stadium reached a fever pitch, all eyes were initially fixed on the hardwood floor, where two legendary franchises were battling for history and legacy, pushing their physical limits in pursuit of the ultimate crown. Yet, as the cameras began to pan across the arena, looking for the familiar faces that always flock to these massive cultural moments, a quiet wave of surprise began to ripple through the press box and social media circles alike. Tucked away from the immediate glare of the courtside cameras, sitting several rows back from the primary spotlight, was a figure whose presence immediately shifted the focus of the entire evening, sparking a wave of questions about how and why he arrived at this exact destination. This was not just another standard celebrity appearance or a routine weekend outing for a Hollywood regular, but rather a calculated step into a very specific kind of American spotlight, occurring at a moment when the rest of his family was gathered across the ocean for a deeply traditional occasion. The contrast between the ancient structured world of ceremonial duties and the loud, commercialized reality of American professional basketball could not have been more striking, serving as a powerful visual metaphor for a life that has been completely redefined over the last several years. As the game progressed and the intense athletic drama unfolded on the court, the narrative off the court began to take on a life of its own, with journalists and spectators trying to decipher the deeper meaning behind this unexpected public outing. To truly understand the weight of this moment, one must look back at the dramatic sequence of events that led up to this weekend, a timeline marked by major personal transitions, historic family shifts, and a conscious decision to exchange an old life for a completely new path. The journey from the quiet, guarded estates of the British landscape to the booming, high-energy centers of American entertainment has been documented at every turn, with every single public appearance analyzed for clues about the emotional and social realities of those involved. For many observers, this specific weekend represented a massive symbolic crossroads, highlighting the vast distance that now exists between two entirely different ways of living. As one world celebrated tradition while another embraced the unpredictable nature of modern life, the absence of certain key figures from the official royal calendar had already been the subject of intense media speculation for days leading up to the weekend, with commentators wondering how the couple would choose to spend their time while the eyes of the United Kingdom were fixed on the annual pageantry in London. By choosing to appear in a setting that is fundamentally American, surrounded by the chaotic energy of a championship basketball game, a powerful statement was made about where home is now and where the future lies for this high-profile individual. The setting itself, located deep in the heart of Texas, provided a unique backdrop for this unfolding story, far removed from the usual coastal enclaves of California or the familiar streets of New York, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the entire scenario. Inside the arena, the atmosphere was a complex mixture of sporting excellence and Hollywood glamour, with various sectors of the stadium reflecting different tiers of modern influence and public fascination. As the cameras continued to capture the various dignitaries and icons in attendance, the focus repeatedly returned to the eighth row, where a quiet, Focused energy seemed to surround the individual who had traveled so far to be part of this American sporting ritual. The choice of attire, the choice of company, and the choice of seat all pointed to a deliberate effort to blend in. Yet the sheer gravity of his public profile made complete anonymity an absolute impossibility in an environment designed for maximum visibility. This delicate balance between wanting to experience life as a regular spectator and the inescapable reality of global fame became the defining theme of the evening, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of the events that transpired during this historic night. As we prepare to dive into the core of what happened inside the arena, the tension continues to build, leaving audiences wondering about the exact interactions, the subtle snubs, and the powerful connections that were forged away from the immediate glare of the courtside seats. The Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas was absolutely electric as Game 5 of the NBA Finals got underway, creating a high-stakes environment where every single movement on the court was mirrored by intense drama in the stands. In the absolute center of this media storm was the legendary Courtside Row, a hyper-exclusive strip of hardwood real estate where the most prominent names in global entertainment are traditionally positioned to maximize their exposure. On this unforgettable Saturday evening, the front row seats were completely dominated by Hollywood royalty, with Timothée Chalamet and Ben Stiller leading the wave of A-listers who were granted front and center access to the historic matchup between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. These cultural icons sat mere inches from the action, absorbed in the intensity of the championship battle, while the flashing cameras of the international press captured their every reaction for millions of viewers worldwide. Yet, the true shockwave of the night occurred several rows back, specifically in the 8th row of the Texas venue where Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, was spotted watching the game unfold from a position of surprising distance. Dressed in a low-key navy polo shirt, matching navy slacks and a simple baseball cap, the 41-year-old royal appeared intentionally understated, making a deliberate attempt to blend into the sea of regular sports fans. This unexpected seating arrangement immediately sent shockwaves through the arena and across social media platforms, as commentators quickly realized that a prominent global figure had been positioned far behind the traditional celebrity row. The surprise outing became even more significant due to the notable absence of his wife Meghan Markle, who did not accompany him to the Texas stadium, leaving the Duke to navigate the high-energy American sporting event without his usual partner by his side. This solo appearance occurred just hours after a major moment of quiet significance across the Atlantic Ocean, where the British royal family was gathered in full force for the annual Trooping the Colour celebration in London. The spectacular military parade and balcony appearance is one of the most sacred traditions on the royal calendar, serving as a public display of unity and institutional continuity for the monarchy. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who famously stepped down as working royals several years ago, have not attended this iconic family gathering since the summer of 2022, marking a deep and permanent shift in their public responsibilities. Since making the monumental decision to permanently relocate from the United Kingdom to the United States in 2020, the couple has established a completely new life in the wealthy coastal enclave of Montecito, California. There, they focus on raising their two young children, 7-year-old Prince Archie and 5-year-old Princess Lilibet, both of whom were also entirely absent from the weekend festivities in San Antonio. Instead of a traditional family outing or a star-studded Hollywood date night, the Duke of Sussex chose to share this intense sporting experience with a companion who represents a deeply personal and meaningful part of his ongoing life mission. Sitting directly beside him in the 8th row was J.P. Lane, a highly respected United States Army veteran and a celebrated Purple Heart recipient who has achieved prominence as a dedicated Warrior Games athlete. This resilient motivational speaker and military veteran is currently preparing to compete in his very first Invictus Games next summer, an international adaptive sporting event that Prince Harry founded to support wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women. The deep bond between the two men was obvious throughout the evening as they intensely discussed the game, shared laughs, and analyzed the tactical plays on the court, showcasing a shared military brotherhood that transcends the superficial hierarchies of traditional celebrity culture. Interestingly, the Duke of Sussex was not the only household name who found themselves relegated to the further rows of the Frostbank Center on this intense Saturday evening. The seating charts for this high-profile championship game revealed an unexpected equalizing effect, as several other massively recognizable faces were noticeably rejected from the ultra-exclusive courtside celebrity row. Among those spotted sitting further back in the arena sections were Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, who attended the game with her boyfriend, as well as prominent entertainment executive Scooter Braun and veteran actor Billy Baldwin. This unusual distribution of fame created an intriguing visual dynamic inside the stadium, where traditional Hollywood power players and global figures found themselves sharing space with everyday sports enthusiasts, while a select few occupied the immediate spotlight. Throughout the 4 quarters of intense basketball action, it remained entirely unclear which specific team Prince Harry was actively rooting for, as the former military pilot has famously kept his allegiances to individual NBA franchises a closely guarded secret over the years. This was far from his first encounter with the electric atmosphere of professional American basketball, though his previous appearances featured a completely different social dynamic. In the past, the Duke has attended 2 major NBA games alongside Meghan Markle, most recently making headlines during a February All-Star game where the couple delighted the arena crowd by participating in a classic, light-hearted stadium kiss cam moment. Their very first high-profile NBA date night took place back in April of 2023, when they sat together to watch a thrilling Los Angeles Lakers playoff game against the Memphis Grizzlies, an event that showcased their growing integration into the West Coast lifestyle. On this particular night in San Antonio, however, the mood was distinctly different, characterized by a focused, male-bonding atmosphere centered around sports and shared military experiences rather than Hollywood glamour. As the clock ticked down and the tension on the basketball court reached its absolute boiling point, the contrast between the individuals in the front row and those in the 8th row became an undeniable talking point among the spectators. The image of the Duke of Sussex sitting comfortably in a standard viewing row, surrounded by a Purple Heart veteran and regular basketball fans, offered a stark contrast to the highly curated images of traditional fame displayed by the actors sitting courtside. This deliberate choice of company and location highlighted a complex modern reality, where the lines between global royalty, Hollywood celebrity, and ordinary citizenship are constantly being redrawn in the public eye. The unfolding narrative inside the arena added a layer of human interest to an already historic sporting event, leaving the audience to ponder the true significance of these shifting social dynamics as the game headed toward its dramatic conclusion. As the final buzzer echoed through the rafters of the Frost Bank Center, bringing a definitive end to a spectacular chapter of athletic excellence, the deeper narrative of the evening began to crystallize into a powerful commentary on modern legacy, personal identity, and the choices that define a human journey. This unforgettable night in San Antonio was far more than a simple gathering of elite athletes and global icons. It served as a vivid illustration of how life can be entirely reinvented when one steps away from preordained paths to forge a completely unique destiny. The presence of Prince Harry in the 8th row, completely comfortable in his own skin and deeply engaged with the community around him, highlighted a profound evolution from his past life of rigid, highly scripted public appearances to a reality defined by genuine human connection and shared purpose. By choosing to spend this historic evening alongside J.P. Lane, a man whose life story embodies the ultimate triumph of the human spirit over extreme physical adversity, the Duke of Sussex sent a clear, undeniable message about where his true passions and loyalties reside. The powerful bond between these two men, rooted in their shared history of military service and their mutual dedication to the global adaptive sports movement, provided a grounded, inspiring contrast to the superficial flashbulbs of the courtside celebrity row. For J.P. Lane, this evening was a celebration of an extraordinary journey that will soon culminate on the global stage, as his upcoming participation in the next Invictus Games represents the ultimate realization of years of grueling rehabilitation, relentless training, and unyielding determination. This international sporting event, which the Duke founded over a decade ago out of a deep desire to provide wounded service members with a platform for recovery and mutual support, has grown into a massive global movement that changes thousands of lives every single year. Seeing the founder of this movement sitting shoulder to shoulder with a future competitor in a standard arena row emphasized the egalitarian, mission-driven focus that has come to define this new era of his life, far removed from the formal protocols of his youth. This shared experience in Texas perfectly mirrored the broader philosophy that has guided the Duke and Duchess of Sussex since their historic decision to step back from their traditional duties and chart a completely independent course on the shores of North America. Their life in Montecito, California, though frequently subjected to intense international scrutiny, has been intentionally built around a quiet, family-oriented foundation where they can raise their young children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, away from the constant, intrusive pressures of the old world. This weekend alone provided a stark, unforgettable visual representation of the vast distance they have traveled, both geographically and culturally, as they exchanged the ancient, highly structured traditions of a London military parade for the vibrant, unpredictable energy of an American championship basketball game. The fact that other major entertainment figures like Sydney Sweeney, Scooter Braun, and Billy Baldwin were also seated outside the immediate courtside zone further illustrated the unique, democratic nature of American sports culture, where fame is often secondary to the raw passion and shared community of the game itself. This evening proved that true impact is not measured by how close one sits to the hardwood floor or how many cameras are focused on your face, but by the authenticity of the connections you maintain and the causes you champion when the world is watching your every move. Over the years, the Duke's occasional appearances at major basketball games, whether sharing a light-hearted laugh on a stadium kiss cam with Meghan Markle during an All-Star weekend or cheering intensely during a high-stakes Los Angeles Lakers playoff matchup, have shown a man who is actively embracing the rich, communal fabric of his adopted home. These moments offer a fascinating glimpse into a lifestyle that prioritizes personal freedom, meaningful advocacy, and the simple joy of experiencing monumental cultural events as a regular member of the public. As the crowd slowly filed out of the San Antonio arena into the warm Texas night, the conversation surrounding this game extended far beyond the final score, focusing intensely on the profound cultural shifts and symbolic imagery that had unfolded within the stadium walls. The imagery of a global figure choosing purpose over pageantry and military brotherhood over superficial status left a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed this unique intersection of sports, celebrity, and human resilience. It served as a definitive reminder that while the past can provide a powerful foundation, it is the deliberate choices we make in the present that truly define our legacy and shape the impact we leave on the world around us. Ultimately, this thrilling night in San Antonio will be remembered not just as a classic battle between two legendary basketball franchises, but as a moment where the lines of modern fame were subtly yet powerfully redrawn, proving that the most meaningful stories are often found exactly where you least expect them, sitting quietly a few rows back from the immediate glare of the spotlight.